Back at it again, and we've got to talk about this Trump hush money case because I think finally, Republicans are playing a little bit of chess instead of checkers. And what I mean by that is obviously you guys know it's been well reported that Trump has a gag order. So there's a lot of stuff that he's not allowed to say that he would love to say. And it seems as if he's found a way around that. Him and Republicans, of course. So we're going to be diving into that a little bit today because first off, it's absolutely hilarious. And second, I love to see it. Republicans actually playing the game, as I like to call it, right? The game. And playing it well for once. Playing it well. Now, granted, this isn't like the biggest instance in the world. I'll admit that. But I do want to give credit where credit is due. So, shout out to Doug Burgum, Corey Mills, Byron Donalds, Mike Johnson, Vivek. I forgot there's like an attorney general. The attorney general of Iowa, I believe, even showed up. So shout out to all those folks that are standing up for what's right and speaking out. But we got to get into this. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. And let's dive in.
Morning, everyone. I'm Governor Doug Burgum. Along with our congressman and Vivek, we're here today to offer some observations of firsthand. I think one thing that we've all known is this was a sham trial, but when you have an opportunity to see it up close and personal, you can see it's actually a scam trial. When you've got a judge that's a donor to Biden, you got prosecutors that are supporters of Biden, and then you've got relatives of the judge that are benefiting financially directly from this trial and that information. And then you've got the star witness is a serial perjurer. Then you have to ask yourself, what is this all about? And I think the only conclusion, of course, is that it's election interference and it's tying up the president from being out on the campaign trail. And of course, we know that from the polls that have come out, even from the New York Times, Rasmussen Interactive this week, President Trump is leading all over the country. And the conclusion you could draw from that is the American people have already acquitted Donald Trump because the things that they're concerned about, inflation, crime, the border, the economy, all of these things, President Trump is leading by huge double digits versus Joe Biden. And the sooner that this scam trial can be concluded, the sooner that the president can get back to getting out, campaigning, and talking to the American people.
You know, I don't really think he needs to campaign a whole lot. Now, would it benefit him to campaign? Sure. Yeah, I'm not saying it wouldn't, but this is the thing, and I've said this before, and obviously, you guys know I'm probably one of the biggest Trump supporters there is, and I make no apologies for it. Make no mistake about it. The way that you beat Trump is you ignore Trump. You don't mention him. You act like he doesn't even exist because the more you talk about him, the bigger he becomes, especially if you are attacking him. The more popular he becomes, and that's exactly what they are doing. And it's because they can't help themselves, right? Even a person like me who hasn't been involved in politics, I can see what 2 + 2 is equaling. It's 4. The more you talk about him, the more popular he becomes. The winning strategy for me, if I was going against Trump, would be quite simple. Stop talking about him. He doesn't exist anymore. In my humble opinion, now, I'm not saying that's like a guaranteed way to win, but he wouldn't be gaining the popularity that he otherwise is gaining now, right? With all these sham trials and everything else. Like, it just makes no sense to me. But, hey, am I wrong? Let me know.
President Trump is a friend, and I wanted to be here to support him. I'm here speaking with you outside because the court won't allow us to speak inside the building. That's just one of the many things that are wrong here. This is the 5th week that President Trump has been in court for this sham of a trial. They are doing this intentionally to keep him here and keep him off of the campaign trail. And I think everybody in the country can see that for what it is. I'm an attorney. I'm a former litigator myself. I am disgusted by what is happening here, what is being done here to our entire system of justice overall. The people are losing faith right now in this country, in our institutions. They're losing faith in our system of justice. And the reason for that is because they see it being abused as it is being done here in New York. The facts here are very important. Facts are always important in a trial, or at least they're supposed to be. The president's actions in this matter were previously reviewed and no charges were filed. Why is that? Because there's no crime here. Now, 8 years later, suddenly they've resurrected this thing. They brought it back. And why is that? Well, just apply common sense. Everyone can see. It's painfully obvious that we're now 6 months out from an election day. And that's the reason. That is the reason why they brought these charges.
That is the sole reason why they brought these charges. And, and I showed you guys the video, I think it was last week, actually, of, what I believe their ultimate strategy is. I feel like they know this case is bogus. They know even if they manage to garner a conviction here, it's going to get thrown out on appeal, but they don't care. That appeal is going to come after the election, so it's not going to matter. The whole purpose is just to throw dirt on his name. That's why you hear a lot of information coming out that has nothing to do with the case. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Just a lot of BS information where it's just like, why did we need to know that? That has nothing to do with the actual charges, right? So that is why, in my humble opinion, why that type of stuff is happening. Because it's not about actually getting Trump. It's just about throwing dirt on his name before the election. Now, I want you guys to hear what Vivek had to say about this entire situation. Check it out.
Thank you. I want to thank my colleagues, Governor Burgum, Congressman Mills, and Congressman Donalds for laying out the political backdrop here. This is a politicized persecution that is nakedly apparent. What I want to do is dive a little bit deeper into what we actually learned today in that courtroom. What do we see in there? First of all, I learned a lot from being in there in person. It is one of the most depressing places I have been in my life, but it is fitting because the only thing more depressing than the environment of that courtroom is what's actually happening in there. It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction, sadly, it may appear to actually be working. Now, I would like for anybody here in the press, anybody at home, anybody in MSNBC or the media afterwards, to clearly state what exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed. Oh, wait. We have not heard a good answer to that question. It has been vague until today. You heard Michael Cohen's testimony, after which I would say it is less clear than ever what that crime actually was. They'll say falsifying business records. Well, let's look at who did we learn falsified business records today? Yet, what, hour, 2 hours, felt like it could have been 7 hours, of Michael Cohen talking about how he falsified business records. Okay, so you have a guy who has been a perjurer in the past that is now saying he falsified business records. What is the crime that Donald Trump committed? Now, it appears to be what they might allege is some sort of bookkeeping error or whatever. The real bookkeeping that we need accounting of is Judge Merchan's own family member collecting millions of dollars as a Democratic operative, using the existence of this trial as a fundraising ploy for Democrats. This is unconscionable. Imagine if the same shoe fit the other foot. Imagine if it was Joe Biden that was on trial. You had a Republican judge whose son was collecting millions of dollars as a Republican operative. What would you all be saying? This would not be justice. This is injustice at its worst. So let's go even a layer deeper, right? Because let's go even a layer deeper, actually. The alleged crime here is supposedly, they try to point to this every day, that he does not actually use campaign funds, that he used personal funds. Well, let's get this straight. Suppose Donald Trump had used campaign funds to make a personal expense. They'd be going after him for that. So if they're going to get him going or they're going to get him coming, that is the best proof that this is a politicized sham. Let's go through it piece by piece. If you tell somebody to go buy you a suit and you want to look good on television because that'll affect the voters, the way voters vote for you, you know what? They prosecute politicians if they use campaign funds to buy a suit. If they say go get a haircut, if you use campaign funds to get a haircut because you want to look good to the voters, they will actually prosecute you for using campaign funds for a personal expense. Yet the entire legal theory of this case, the whole case that Alvin Bragg has brought, depends on one premise for them to charge this as a felony, is that Donald Trump somehow should have used campaign funds to make an allegedly personal payment. Yet if he had done that, their case against him would be even stronger. This is garbage. That is the best proof that you have that if they're going to get him going or get him coming, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is a sham. This is not the United States of America. This is some third-rate banana republic. If this were happening in another country, we would be laughing at them as a sham democracy. I am ashamed as an American citizen to sit here in a courtroom watching the former leader of the free world, and let's be honest, likely next leader of the free world, sitting with the indignity in this dingy third-rate courtroom with fourth-rate prosecutors and a fifth-rate lawyer on the stand as a witness, who actually is violating attorney-client privilege left and right. Nobody's even talking about that. So this is a shame. Shame on the spirit in our country's history, but we will get through it and be stronger because you know who ultimately actually cast the vote on this case? It's not just the jurors in that jury box. It's every one of you at home. It's every American who votes this November to say no to the weaponization of justice. But you do agree, whether you are Democrat or Republican or black or white or gay or straight or man or woman, that our justice system should be blind to politics. That regardless of whether your last name is Biden or Trump, regardless of whether you've been a politician or not, you get a fair shake in our own legal system. And when you have a prosecutor who campaigned on the pledge of going after Trump and then keeps his campaign pledge, when you have a judge whose kids are collecting money from Democratic operatives by fundraising off the very trial that that judge is presiding over, and then telling the U.S. president that he's subject to a gag order, that he can't talk about it, that is not justice. That is a bastardization of what this country was founded on. And I'm here, and all of us are here as friends of Donald Trump, supporting him in our personal capacity, sharing our opinions. That's why we're here today. But I hope every American at home who isn't able to be in that courtroom is able to see what's actually happening there. And when you do, we will have a landslide of historic proportion this November if every American understands the injustice that's playing out in that courtroom today. So may God bless our country. I pray for our future, and let's pray for our country being stronger on the other side of this disgusting sham politician prosecution.
Yep. Couldn't have said it any better myself, right? I couldn't have said that any better myself. You know, I'm liking Vivek more and more, you know, but we'll talk about that in another video. It's one thing that he mentioned is, you know, or I guess I should say, is that Democrats are scared. This is just to interfere with with November, you know, and they always talk about democracy, even though we don't live in a democracy, we live in a constitutional republic, which we've talked about ad nauseum. But I just wanted to mention that because whenever I say democracy, somebody comments in the comment section, it's not a democracy. I know, of course, I'm just repeating what Democrats are saying. All right. Just want to make that clear. If I ever forget to say it's a constitutional republic, just know I understand that. OK, I understand that. But Democrats always cry democracy. But yet you see all of these different cases and things, and that's not democracy. And I want you to hear what the Iowa Attorney General, Brenna Bird, had to say about that, because I think she's on point. Absolutely on point. Check it out.
What we need to do is get politics out of the courtroom and let President Trump get back on the campaign trail. Let the American people decide who the next leader of the free world will be. And politics has absolutely no place in this courtroom or any other.
Facts. If you truly believe in democracy, then let democracy play out. Let the people decide who's going to be the leader of the free world. The problem is they know who the people will choose. So they're trying to throw anything and everything at the wall to see what sticks. And so far, nothing has really stuck. Most of these cases are all crumbling right before our eyes. And you know, the genius part about all of this, Trump can't say a lot of this stuff, so they are. They're standing right outside the courtroom and they are saying everything that Trump would otherwise say, but he can't. So even though that judge doesn't like it, doesn't want it to happen, they're all saying it for Trump. And I love it. I love it. Playing a little 4D chess. Okay, you gonna gag me? Well, they'll say everything I was gonna say anyway. How about that? How about that? You know, so I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Republicans actually standing up. Small thing, right? I would love for them to stand up in some other situations and circumstances. But once again, I do want to give credit where credit is due. Okay? Where credit is due. And, man, I can't wait until he walks back to that White House. We honestly, I think the Republican Party, we might have to start calling it something different because it's going to be a completely different party. I've told you guys that and I've explained that and you're already seeing it play out. It's going to be a different party. It's not the Republican Party of old, or at least it won't be, right? We might have to come up with a new name. You know, the MAGAs. Since Joe Biden and Democrats have tried to demonize that one, we just be called the MAGAs. Anyway, as always, y'all let me know your thoughts, your opinions on all of this in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.